Hey, what's up? Andryanna here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I felt that I had to record this episode for a couple of reasons. The first is that we've really been exploring the idea of what success is and how you can define it for yourself and how you can achieve it on your terms. And so, in an interview with Lisa Bragg, we really explored um, how so many of us are dimming our lights and how purposeful self promotion can really be one of those elements that is so pivotal when it comes to gaining that success that you are worthy of. And we also spoke with Natalie Ruskin, who looked at sustainable success and looked at the notion of taking what we feel is success and really resting in knowing that we're enough, that we're doing enough, that we're being enough. And I often share, through social media and on Instagram, how that hustle and grind culture was not serving to me in reaching burnout. And I feel like I'm often sharing about that. And I received a message, someone slid into my DMs with a bit of a different perspective. And so I want to recognize that today. I'm actually going to read that message today. But I want to talk about the notion of happy success and how we can achieve effortless success. And so I'm going to share some concepts and some exercises from a book by Michael Neill on how we can look at this ourselves. So if you are ready for enjoying happy success the effortless way, let's dive right in.
Hey, I'm Andryanna Gonco, and this is the Juggle is Real podcast. As I share my ongoing journey from experiencing burnout to leading a more mindful and intentional life with better balance, I hope you feel seen, that you realize your worth, lighten your load, and prioritize your own needs. As we hear from leading experts and well-known faces in the wellness, entrepreneurship, education, and motherhood space, I hope you gain insights, proven practices, and learn actionable tools to help you enjoy the juggle of work, family, and everything in between with a little less stress and a lot more ease, joy, and fun. Most of all, I hope you find what you need to simplify, streamline, and supercharge your own journey of better balance and self-love. Are you with me? Let's get started.
Okay, so as I was mentioning, the hustle and the grind is not serving. And I know that in society today, we are often faced with that notion of do more, you have to be doing. And being busy is sort of that badge of honor that busyness can sometimes really catapult into more serious things, right? And for me, it was burnout. It can be illnesses. It can be, physical or mental health struggles. It can be just that feeling of stress and overwhelm or not feeling like you're enough. And that is at the heart of where I want to see change and where I want to be supporting you in knowing that you are enough, that you are doing enough, and that what matters most is you and how you are making yourself a priority and taking care of yourself so that you can be doing all of the things that you will deem and define as being successful. So you can check out those other episodes that have been released on success and not dimming your light and sustainable success. Today, I want to talk about happy success and effortless success because I think there's a bit of a misnomer out there that when we remove that hustle or when we take away those external pressures and we focus on our own well being first, that means that we're not doing anything. That means that at any given moment, we're just hunkering down and taking a nap, or our to-do list all of a sudden shrinks down because we're not doing. And that simply is not true. When I discuss the notion of self-care, it's coming from a place of pouring into yourself so that you can be more efficient, be more effective, and actually go out and do those things that will bring you the kind of success that you deserve on your own terms, because you're doing it from a place of well-being and not from a place of of exhaustion, a place of overwhelm, a place of so much stress and so much weight on your shoulders that the actions that you're taking are like trudging through mud, versus actually going out and doing the things from a place of happy success, knowing that it's going to come with ease and knowing that you're going to be able to do so much more in less time. And yes, it does mean letting go of some of those things that aren't serving you. It does mean saying no in many cases, and it means discarding some of those maybe relationships, the tasks, the situations, and just those feelings, whether it be guilt or judgments, so that you can be coming from a place of happiness and joy and love, and really being led to where you need to go. So I'm going to share some exercises, and I'm going to share some concepts from a book called Effortless Success. It's by Michael Neill. And if you haven't read it, it's an audiobook. I 100% recommend it. It is a really wonderful program that Michael Neill has developed. But before I do that, I just want to go into my DMs in Instagram, because I think it's really important to note that just because I am not for hustle and grind doesn't mean that I'm against taking action and doing things and being a doer, because that it really isn't true. And I just want to acknowledge and appreciate this message that I'm going to read to you, because it did make me think in another way of like, okay, so maybe I just need to be a little bit more clear on what I mean when I say take a nap, or when I say start your day with a morning routine that really is self-serving, whether it's, moving your body or choosing foods that are going to nourish you, or, journaling, or having a intentional morning, whatever it is. I'm not saying sit around and just do whatever you feel like doing all day. I'm saying be intentional with your time and your energy so that you can move into your day really mindfully, doing things with purpose instead of feeling so stressed that you have to move through your day feeling overwhelmed. So the post that I'd shared was not mine. It was a meme on Instagram, and it said, stop glamorizing the grind and start getting 7 hours of sleep at night, having healthy relationships, feeling safe at work, taking sick days, being paid a living wage, working hard when you're at work, boundaries, and self-caring your way to success. Now, this spoke to me from a very deep place, and that's why I shared it. And I did have someone in my DMs come in and say this. And before I read, I'll just say that I really appreciate this message, and I validate this opinion from this person, and I appreciate this opinion. And then I'm going to unpack it in a way that maybe will provide you with a different perspective, because I'm not saying that her opinion is right or wrong. I'm just being really neutral about it. And I'm really grateful that she shared this. So I'm going to read it now. So based on that meme, her reply was, I would love to unpack this at some point. I agree with this in theory, but I also have a hard time with the balance, because sick days and automatic pay are not an option in the private sector. I push it for my staff to have balance, but I also realize that our economy is struggling because people also do not feel connected to work anymore, therefore just don't. And then as an economy, we pay for that, not just monetarily, but most importantly, socially, because people do not feel connected as a community or have the desire to engage, because everything is quote unquote too much. Super interesting dialogue. I don't know how to shift it. I try my best to be balanced, but do not have options sometimes. And I think work is healthy. I feel like as a society, we have lost the will to work. I even see it with kids in sports. Interesting anyways. And she said, I love seeing you crush your work-life balance. So thank you so much for this message, because I truly do appreciate it. And so many amazing points made here. I do believe that community and connection is so important. And I agree that in some ways, society since the pandemic is perpetuating this idea that we don't have to work if we don't feel like it. And that's not really where the idea of success means to fill your cup first so that you can pour into those around you. From my perspective, I think that because we have been trained and ingrained for so long that we have to look externally and meet the expectations of those around us prior to thinking of ourselves, that has gotten us in this place where we are now, where that hustle and that grind has gotten to a point that is so negative and so toxic that we don't have the tools to be able to build ourselves to a point in a place where we can support ourselves when everyone around us is telling us, no, you have to do more, you have to be more, you have to work more. And so that is where I found myself, striving to be the number one of everything with the badge of honor, being the one who would never say no, being the one who was always the last person in the office, seeing that as, oh, this is what I need to do and be in order to be quote unquote successful. So in the book, Effortless Success from Michael Neill, he does say that, yes, that is one path to success and you can absolutely take it. The choice is yours and is completely up to you. But that's the hard way. The other way is to understand that it can be easy and you can do it with ease. And right at the beginning of the book, he does mention that the title, was it his agent or his publisher, was like, well, you can't call the book Effortless Success because you do put effort in. And the response from Michael Neill was that, yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, it's not like I'm not putting in effort. Of course, I'm putting in a ton of effort and I'm moving into action every single day, but it doesn't feel hard because I'm doing it in a way that is aligned with me, that feels good to me, that when I am doing what I need to do that follows my purpose and serves my higher being, it just flows. And that's where effortless success comes from. So I'm going to talk about what he's referring to as happy success, which really kind of is that goal, right? Like if, at the end of the day, you could kind of sum up what it is that you're striving for. Being happy and being successful are often those two top elements of like, well, what do you want in your life? Well, I want to be happy. Of course, you want to be healthy and loved. And I want to be successful. So he lists in the book 4 kinds of happiness. The first one being pleasure, and that we all need pleasure in our lives. And he looks to it like, how much pleasure are you actually allowing in your life? So ask yourself this. At the end of the day, how much pleasure can you say that you've actually experienced in a day? And pleasure does not have to just come from external sources, right? It can come from the inside. You can feel good in your body. You can feel pleasure internally. And you can also get it from external sources. So he gives the analogy of eating cake. I mean, yeah, that's a pleasurable experience if you like cake, right? Or, having that glass of wine if you really love, a good glass of wine. That is pleasure. And that is one kind of happiness, but that's not the only kind of happiness. Okay. And so you'll see here, as we look to these different types of happiness, how it's not just about not putting effort in. Sure, we can include and welcome and receive more pleasure in our lives, but there are other types of happiness that will make us feel this happy success. So the second type of happiness that Michael Neill talks about is satisfaction. Okay, so satisfaction is the feeling that happens after you take the action. So in the first example of pleasure being eating a slice of cake is pleasurable. In this case, baking the actual cake brings you satisfaction. And that's another type of of feeling happy, right? You're actually doing the thing, or, it can be a really pleasurable experience to watch a hockey game, but it can be really satisfying to go out with your kids and play a game of street hockey, right? So it comes from doing the action. Satisfaction comes from having a challenge and overcoming the challenge. So for me, I mean, I think we can all feel satisfied when we take on a worthy challenge. And this is where I see the phrase that you may have heard that is out there: the journey is the manifestation. This is where this kind of comes into play, right? It's not as satisfying if it's just handed to you, if it's just given to you. And so the notion of, well, like if we drop the hustle, then we're just not doing anything. No, you can get that sense of satisfaction in taking on a worthy challenge, something that you feel is worthy of you. So Stephen Covey talks about this as the daily private victory. So when you go to bed at night, like, what are you proud of that you actually achieved? What are you feeling satisfied about? And this is where I want to bring in the notion of your self-care practice, and more specifically, a morning practice of some sort, something that speaks to you, something that is nurturing for you, something that calls to you. Because when you do something for yourself at the beginning of the day, you're really stacking the cards in your favor. You're choosing your beginning, and you're gaining that feeling of both pleasure and or satisfaction, maybe both of them. There's that sense of achievement because you've done something for yourself. And more often than not, I will say, and I haven't not done the research to back this up, but I'm going to go out there and say 99% of the time, when you start your morning in a way that is serving for you, you are more willing and you're more able to go out and tackle the world, to put in the effort, to move into action at a rate that is more efficient, when you're getting more done, where you're being more productive, and you're doing it in a way that doesn't feel as hard. So that's number two, the second way that we can define happiness, according to Michael Neill's book, Effortless Success. The third way that he describes happiness is through meaning, right? Having a meaningful life. And another word that we can use for meaning to describe this type of happiness is fulfillment, right? And you can have meaning in the midst of any circumstance, whether it is good or bad. You can find meaning in challenges. You can find meaning in the darkest of days. But essentially, when you're looking for meaning and that sense of fulfillment as a type of happiness, it really means to look at making a difference. And this is another reason why I feel that dropping hustle does not mean you're not doing, because when you can tap into finding meaning, fulfilling your life to its purpose, then you're making a difference in a positive way. And so you can bring meaning to your life in a number of ways, and something that feels good to you. But this is where I feel, this is my personal opinion, the phrase, it feels better to give the gift than to actually receive it. That's where this really comes in, because you feel like you're making a difference. You're helping someone else, right? And so if your life was a message, what would it be? This is an example from an exercise in the Effortless Way. If your life was to tell someone something, if they could look at it from, a scope, if they could hover above and see what your life is, what was that message that they would get? And so if you have time, I invite you to grab a pen and paper and maybe jot down some notes. How your life stands right now, what is the meaning that if someone could see it, from a looking glass, what would they say? Would it be, oh, she worked so hard, she had no time for herself, she was the last one in the office, and she sacrificed her own well-being for those around her? Is that the meaning? And there's no right or wrong answers. But in going through this exercise, honestly, if it was your child or, someone, that you really, really admire, looking at your life from the outside in, what would they say about your life right now? And being honest with yourself after you've written it down, maybe some ideas, some thoughts have come to you. As it stands, do you like this message? Do you like the message that you're putting about what your life means, the meaning of your life as it stands right now? If today was your last day, is this the message and the meaning that you would want to be carried forth from other people? And if the answer is no, that's okay, right? We're talking about gaining that happy success. So what would you change? And slowly think about, what would you like that message to be? And I'm not talking about trying to be perfect. I'm not looking to ideal standards, but you do have the ability to change it, right? And to create happiness through meaning. So whatever that exercise has brought for you, maybe sit with it and think about how you can bring meaning to your life. And then the fourth and the final type of success in the Effortless Success book by Michael Neill is contentment. Okay. And contentment is the choice that you can make in any moment, right? So no matter what's happening, no matter what's going on in your life, you can say in the moment, I am okay. This is okay. I might still want other things. I might have goals. I might want to change things, like even looking back at the exercise we just did. I might want to change things, but at this moment, I am okay. And the ability to want other things, but to be able to settle in what you currently have, to feel gratitude for what is that feeling of contentment, which brings happiness into your life, right? Personally, I look at this as the notion of surrender. Often in society, we are taught like you have to strive for the goal, you have to go, go, go. And if you're not achieving your goals constantly over and over, or, achieving more and more and more, then that's not okay. But what I feel is that it's good to want more. It's good to strive for things that you don't yet have physically, spiritually, emotionally. It's good to want more, but you need to surrender and really understand that it's good to be where you are now, that you are on this journey, right? The journey is the manifestation, to be content and to sit and to lie where you are. Not, if I lose 5 pounds, then I'll be happy. If I get that promotion, then I'll be happy. If blah, 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 fill in the blank, then I'll be happy. The fourth type of happiness is to be able to sit in the exact place where you are now and to feel that sense of gratitude and contentment. So those are the 4 types of happiness, according to Michael Neill in his book. Number 1, pleasure. Number 2, satisfaction. Number 3, meaning. And number 4, contentment. So the way that I would like to end this episode is going through one final exercise. And this is taken again from Michael Neill's book, but it really is defining what happy success is for you. And it's going to look different for everyone. It's going to be different for everyone. And like I mentioned, thanks to this DM in my Instagram, I mean, it's okay if it's not what I think it is, right? I'm sharing my perspectives, I'm sharing my experiences, I'm sharing what I've learned specifically so that you have options. Because the biggest problem that I faced was not knowing that an effortless way was out there. I assumed that I had to hustle. It had to be hard. I had to feel tired in order to achieve success. And what I've learned is that that's just not true. So for this exercise, again, find a comfortable place. If you can, close your eyes, have a pen and paper handy, or if you want to just use the notes portion of your phone, that's totally up to you. But I want you to sit and I want you to think, maybe take a few deep breaths in and out. If it feels good, maybe put your hand to heart or on your stomach. Just really rest and be comfortable where you are. And I want you to think of the end of your life. And I want you to think of the end of your life being really happy in all 4 of the ways that we mentioned. You've had a great life. It has been a beautiful life. And now that you're in this place where you have experienced so much pleasure, so much satisfaction, there's meaning and contentment. What are some of the things that you've done in your life that you're so glad you did? What have you done that you're so grateful for? And what are some of the things that you have in your life that you're so grateful for having? What are some of the experiences you've had? What are some of those achievements that you've had? And at the end of your life, looking back, what are your favorite feelings? How do you love to feel when you wake up in the morning? And sit with this for a minute and explore what it means to have already lived your life, to have already been able to experience all those feelings and have all those achievements, and to know that you've done all the things that you've wanted to do. Think about it and feel into it, into your body. This is what happy success is. This is your personal and unique definition of success. And now, from this place and from the feelings and having this experience, spend a few minutes, invest the time to define happy success for you. And jot it down. And then see how you're feeling. Do you feel more alive when you think about being successful in this way? When you went through the exercise, was it struggle? Was it being successful through challenge upon challenge? Was it butting up against a wall and being sick, having issues and a lot of challenges? Or was it achieving happiness and success in a way that felt really easy and almost effortless, as if it just flowed? And I'm going to leave you here in this place so that you can define your own happy success. And you can think to whether you want to do it the effortless way or the hustle and grind struggle way. And either way, and whatever you choose, know that I send so much love to you and so much gratitude and appreciation. I am really happy that you listened to this episode. And if you want to share it with a friend, someone who might want a new perspective on success or redefining success, I urge you and I invite you to share it with them. And if this message spoke to you, I invite you to please write me a review in Apple Podcasts, rate it, maybe throw it up in your stories on social media. I would love to see it and I would love to repost it. There's so much more great stuff in store for the Juggle is Real podcast. I can't wait to keep sharing more. But until the next time, please subscribe so that you get new episodes, and I will see you again for the next one. Take good care.